Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday. Settling in. Who knows what the fuck you're doing? Getting weird on a Wednesday. Oh, baby. Why do we get so weird on Wednesdays? No one really knows why we get so weird on Wednesday. That's what we do every Wednesday. Fuck boneless wings on a Wednesday. Fuck everything on a Wednesday. Nick Cannon pull out on a Wednesday. Nick Cannon gonna have so much child support. How you gonna pay for everything? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. That was ridiculous. Did we plan that? No, we didn't, but that's what happens on a Wednesday. You just come in weird, and you come in hot, and you come in ready to drop bars. Round 17,000,005 fight. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Keep up, okay? Welcome on Wednesday. I'm getting weird because your boy, is he drinking pre-workout while he films this goddamn podcast? You better believe it. Why? Am I working out after this? Yeah, but that's besides the point. The point is, I want to be cracked out of my fucking mind on a Wednesday for you. Okay, listen. You think this is just about me? Yeah, I get something from doing this podcast, but this is about you. I'm trying to come in hot. Take two. Round two, fight. I'm trying to come in hot. And I'm trying to get weird. All right. The payoff wasn't that much for that, but you know what? We keep it moving. Oh, yeah. Listen, keep up with me, okay? Your boy's never going to do crack cocaine. Not again, huh? What? Crack isn't for me. I'm just not a crack person, okay? Does anybody really know? Anybody who's like, oh yeah, you guys want to do crack? I feel like crack isn't a party drug. I feel like crack isn't really a thing that you meet up on a Friday night to do with your friends. Crack is like a deep, dark secret that two people know about. You know, like you think back. It's like two guys that went to war together, you know, and they know they did some dark shit together. That's what crack is if you ever do crack with your friend. Is, you know, maybe you guys both kick the habit, and then 20 years later, you guys are sitting around a campfire, and it's just you two. Your families were camping. The kids already went to bed. And you're just like, hey, you remember when we did fucking crack? And the other guy's just like, I try not to think about it. Yeah, but do you remember we fucking killed that old lady down the street? Let's just keep eating marshmallows. Nah, man, we killed her. Listen, man, I'm just trying to eat a goddamn marshmallow and wine with my family. All right. Will you remember when we stole that person's TV?
Yeah, it was my uncle.
Yeah, it was. Hello. Sorry, we've gone completely out of this bit, but I'm back. Round bit, fight. The point I'm trying to make, ladies and gentlemen, crack is not something you celebrate. Crack is something you hide from the general public. You never hear rappers talking about crack unless they're selling it. Unless they're talking about the fiends. Do you think there's a niche lane of hip hop that's just about crackheads? Like they talk about it, like from the perspective of doing it. Like you got Kid Cudi. Kid Cudi has cornered the market of the marijuana community when he starts hitting those. Hey, hey, Mr. Ranger. You get the point I'm making, all right? Kid Cudi just has it. He even has a song called Marijuana. Pretty great, but all of my, but I want it. Great song to get high to. I'm gonna be honest with you, kiddies. You ever looking for that vibe song? It's a vibe. At the end of the day, Kid Cudi's a vibe. Okay? You get out there on your roof. That was a place I loved to partake in the devil's lettuce. Get out there on the roof. Spark up that devil's lettuce. Stare at the stars. Put a little bit of Kid Cudi off in the distance. Hey, Mr. Ranger. Listen. My ultimate song, though, Stairway to Heaven. You put Stairway to Heaven start to finish while looking up at the sky at night, you'll think you think the aliens landed, you know? But see, no one can talk about crack like that. You know how you know crack is fucked up? Is because there's a disclaimer that the best way to quit crack is to never start. Can you imagine how fucking good crack must be? Mind-boggling. Straight mind-boggling. I don't know. I met a girl who, I know a few people, actually, if I'm thinking back through high school, that got into crack. But I mean, they're not running a juice bar now. I'll tell you that much. Okay? They're not. I may be born again Christian. That's kind of the path. That's how hard crack is to kick, is that you got to go full spiritual to be able to handle it. Because you just can't go back to regular life. You have to think that you're on a mission from God. And you literally have to paint the picture that crack cocaine is the devil. And that's the way you kick it. And you got to talk about crack in metaphors and be like, the devil's always trying to get me back. The devil in that pipe. Crack cocaine. This podcast was brought to you by crack cocaine, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry if I have any recovering addicts listening to this and I'm like waxing poetic about crack. And you're like, you know what? I could go for some crack. Imagine that. You know what I do think would be dope though? I feel like when I turn maybe 95, listen, I have plans to live to 100. It's a nice round number. It seems like it's a goal, you know. I got plans to live to 100. Maybe at 95, I'll introduce crack into my life to get me through the last 5, you know. Unless we start going, you know, to extraterrestrial, we start leaving Earth. Maybe if we start getting to that point, life would be exciting when I'm 95. That's the only way I think life gets more interesting when you're that old, is if technology is advancing so much and you're just a curious person. I'll probably just live in a simulation. But the only thing that probably get me out of bed when I'm 95 is waking up with a nice cup of crack. Just get out there and, you know, the best part of waking up is cracking the fuck out. But then, at 95, what if I turn into an addict? What if all of a sudden I'm selling the TV, okay? Selling my grandkids fucking Girl Scout cookie money. And I'm just like, hey, you're supporting diabetes. I got to get rid of this money for you. You know? They're like, Grandpa, are you doing crack again? I'm like, no. I'm just trying to feel good. I'm just tired. You know? But give me those Thin Mints. Yeah, 95, I'm doing crack. You heard it here first. I'll probably do some other stuff early before that. I've always been kind of intrigued with mushrooms, but never really did it. I don't know. There was a story about, but I feel like the guy did acid in high school, where he saw everybody's face at the party melting, and he just went into a crazy tailspin. And after seeing that, I was like, I'm not doing fucking mushrooms. But that's literally like the only story that I've ever heard like that. Everything else is like, oh, I saw fucking Jesus Christ. But it wasn't Jesus Christ, it was a tree. Or I saw a fucking frog and the frog vomited a pearl. That's the thing, is it sounds like mushroom trips are a lot like dreams that you can't really describe to people. You know, when you're like telling a scary dream, and then all of a sudden you're like, and then we were running on all the pillows in the room, like the floor was the pillows, and then we had to swing through the spaghetti vines. And people are like, wait, what? And you're like, yeah, it made sense in the dream. I feel like that's what a mushroom trip is. And I think that's why they're so powerful, because it's like, it breaks down your mentality. I would love to do, when it becomes legal, wink, wink. I don't even know why I said wink, wink there. Microdosing with psilocybin. A little bit of mushrooms, get some marinara, blend it all up, bon appetit. But I just always hear that mushrooms has like this healing factor to it. It kind of always, I look at it as if it's like fishing wire that got all tangled up, and you got to undo the wire. I feel like that's what mushrooms can do for you. If you have experience in it, feel free to reach out. Give your boy some guidance, all right? I'm ready to see some weird shit. I'm ready to get weird on a Wednesday, and howl at the moon. Maybe I'll do a podcast out of it. But it kind of feels like the right time in my life. I've always kind of waited for that, where I was like, I'll wait when it comes time. Maybe we're getting closer. I'll take a trip to wherever it's legal. We'll figure it out, baby. Yeah, we're just gonna talk about drugs the whole podcast. Crack, man. Where do you start with crack? I'm just kidding. I did go know a girl in college though that did crystal meth, and she talked about it like it was goddamn Sizzler on a Saturday, like it was just the greatest thing ever. She's like, yeah, we just drive around a convertible. Okay, weird flex. Okay, we get it. Your parents are rich. Crystal meth, that's the thing. Crystal meth, that shit's expensive, right? I mean, I don't know the market value right now, but I just feel like if you're doing crystal meth, you gotta have a little bit of cheddar, right? You gotta have a little bit of this, But I remember her explaining it to me and everything, and how it was just cool. And I was like, all right, I think there's a limit on how much we're gonna hang out. I'm not really down to do some crystal meth. Needles, I'm not with it. I don't even know. I think that's how you do crystal meth, right? You can smoke meth. Meth is a hell of a drug, huh? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on from this. Listen, let's talk about Gotham City. Gotham City, Texas. Also known as San Antonio. Listen, parents are out from California, visiting Texas. Great time to see the folks, They want to see all around Texas. A lot of people surprised when they come here. They were in shock. A lot of, sorry, I just got a weird notification on my phone. A lot greener than what people expect here. A lot of people think there's dirt devils, dust bowls. They think there's a horse just walking by. That's how people get around here. My dad didn't think we would have so many Lowe's. That's what happens when your dad works in construction. That's what value is to them. Is they're like, what's Lowe's doing out here? What are the prices? My parents. This is what my parents do. They go to Walmart just to compare prices from California to Texas. And guess what? Texas won. Every single gas station we drive by, $2.68. That one's $2.58. Wow, $2.70. Compared to California, Texas winning in that department. There has been a lot of that. I I don't necessarily think Texas is better than California. Listen, I think they both have their advantage. And just like, I think it's a bunch of misinformation. People think that Texas is all cowboys and dirt and white people and all this. That's what people think. They think it's all Republicans and everything like that. That's what they think. They passed the constitutional carry. Yeehaw. They just think everybody's running around with guns around here. It's not that at all. And then people think in California that it's a bunch of hippie liberals running around transitioning and just, basically cosplaying real life. And you know what? It is that 100%. I'm just kidding. It's not that at all. California gets it's just misinformation from the news. And I think when you're experiencing both places, you're like, oh yeah, they're playing a game here. They're trying to divide. But California and Texas have a lot in common. But here's the thing. I don't have blinders on. And maybe because I don't have a dog in the fight. But in reality, I don't care. I don't have this weird pride thing of like fucking California pride till the day I die. And I don't have this whole Texan thing of like, yeah, I'm a Texan now. I joke about it because it's cute. It's fun. I'm not really invested in what part of dirt my parents made love and popped me out on. Like, that's the silly thing about anything, is when people start caring about what part of the dirt they live on and they take pride in it, as if an individual has any sway over the political values and overall life values of an area. And granted, people move to certain areas because it lines up more with their beliefs. But the whole born in one place, it's weird to me, when people are like 100% native, like they have that pride of being born on that fucking patch of dirt. Like, dude, your dad just didn't pull out there, okay? It is what it is. But I think California and Texas, they both have their advantages and disadvantages. There's a lot of people that move here and they just are like, it's better than every way and everything and for the rest of time, and they like talk shit about it, where they came from. Dude, I love California. I still think on paper, California beats Texas in a lot of ways. Obvious answer, the beach. Yeah, Texas has the coast, but California is the coast, baby. Okay? California is the coast. Ski resorts, big beer, Yosemite, all these great places like that. Dude, Yosemite alone is a treasure of the United States. But the issue is, California, the con, the prices and the restriction of liberty, okay? That's probably the biggest thing that I moved to Texas for, was the comedy scene that's being developed out here. It's huge. I can do stand-up 7 days a week, okay? I can hit up to 3-4 spots a night. Phenomenal stand-up out here. Opportunities. House prices. It costs a lot to live near the beach, the ski resort, and Yosemite, to have so much stuff at your disposal. It costs a lot. The housing prices here, the overall general cost of way of life out here is a lot cheaper, and I love it. I don't know why I got into that debate right now. Went to San Antonio, aka Gotham City. Listen, I have nothing against. I think it's with every city, but when I've gone to San Antonio before, the Riverwalk, a lot of homeless people. But here's what was dope. Went to San Antonio and finally the Alamo was open. Okay. What I realized going through the Alamo, first off, I didn't know Davy Crockett really fought there. Okay, I thought that was a joke. Davy Crockett, the Mexican War, all right, the Spaniards. It was used, this church was converted into a stronghold, a fort by all these different people from the Mexican army, the Spaniards, the Americans during the Civil War, Indians. It's been this crazy stronghold with such a rich history. And it blew my mind to think about the hardship that these men and women went through. There was a goddamn lady there, one of the women and children. She carried a baby when she was shot in the leg 75 miles to get to Houston, Fort Houston at the time, to tell them, hey, the Alamo's fucked up. That's what she did. She walked 75 miles through Texas heat. And let me tell you something. This is how I realize modern people are so fucking soft. Because I was fucking dying. When you're walking through the Alamo court and everything, we did one of those bullshit audio tours where you hold the little, it was like a Nokia phone and I had to press numbers on it. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm in 1995 right now. And I listened to the tour. We were outside in the court in that Texas sun during a heat wave. Your boy was drenched, starting to hallucinate, seeing spirits all around me, okay? I was outside for maybe 40 minutes. I couldn't imagine walking 75 miles with a goddamn bullet wound, carrying a baby that wasn't mine. People back in the day were just harder. They had the letter in this glass case of this guy. I think his name was like General Travis. Cool name for back then, Travis. And he was basically saying that, hey, we are surrounded by 2,500 men and we will not stop. I believe it was the Mexican army. We will not stop fighting them. Please send reinforcements. And then he drops some bars. He goes, but you know what? If we don't receive reinforcements and this request goes unnoticed, that's fine. I will stay here and die with the values of an American soldier and blah, blah, blah. Living and dying for what the flag represents. Dropped some bars, and I thought, man, people were so much tougher back then. Could you imagine? I even imagine myself in that situation. I'd be like, hey guys, shit's pretty fucked up. We don't have a lot of food. I refuse to eat boneless wings. Please send Uber Eats ASAP. That's the thing is I feel like what has happened is the lack of struggle has created a softer generation, obviously. There's that famous quote that hard men make soft times make soft men, and then soft men create hard times. Sounds like a fucking Dr. Seuss dick riddle, if I'm being honest with you. But it's so true that like all life is perspective. And I think going to see something like the Alamo and seeing like a real hardship like that, most of our problems are so fucking soft. Even this pandemic was soft compared to pandemics of the past. Like, how nuts is it to really think that a lot of our health problems have become mental health problems because we have too many luxuries in our life? How crazy is that? That we've gotten so far out of the food chain that now our problems are mental because we're too bored and we can just have time to think about problems. That's crazy. It's so crazy. I'm over here trying to introduce problems into my life, trying to get a crack problem. So I got to struggle, you know? But I think that's actually tying that in. That's why I do enjoy Texas, because like even last night I had a thunderstorm at like 1 a.m. that like shook the building. It was crazy. And Beowulf, my dog's just like jumping on the bed and freaking out. And whenever there's like thunder and there's lightning, there's rain, and even the hot weather, it makes you appreciate when there's good weather. And I think that was the thing in California where I lived. It was fucking 80 degrees all the time. It was beautiful every day. You just take it for granted. And I think that's what happens with life, is that we start taking everything for granted because it's just we lose sight of step one, of like where we started. And instead, like if we made a reality checklist, our lives are so fucking cushy, but we lose sight of where the baseline is. The baseline of like, do we have shelter? Check. Did I wake up today? Yeah. Do I have water? I have running water? Wow. Check. Do I have food? I got a fucking wand, a magic wand that can answer any question I have on my phone. I could just stay home and have food delivered to my door. I don't even have to go anywhere. But I feel like that's such a crazy thing. That's why it's like so important to self-regulate. Because if you want, you could remove every single struggle out of your life and just live in this weird world of softness. And it's crazy that the easier that life gets, the more mental problems we have. Like that should be such a red flag. Oh, cool. My computer's fucking up now. Hashtag first world problems. First world problems. That's more like fucking zero world problems when your computer stops working. But I think that's nuts. That's something that I definitely try to think about. That's why you have to introduce struggle into your life. Whether that's waking up at the right time, whether that's going to the gym, sticking to a schedule, pushing yourself, constantly staying uncomfortable and trying to evolve, doing shit that you don't want to do because it's like that relief after. That's like even with stand-up, I force myself to go and do it even when I don't want to. By the way, that's not a new sound effect. That is just my computer giving me notifications. So I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, because like the payoff of doing something hard and that you don't want to do feels so much better than cowering away from it. You guys don't give a shit about that. What are we doing here today, ladies and gentlemen? We're supposed to get weird on a Wednesday. Round Wednesday fight. We'll end on this topic. Speaking of hard men, giggity. I went and saw something pretty dope yesterday. The Buckhorn Saloon, world famous in San Antonio. Here's the thing, Texas. Texas does this a lot. World famous and best of Texas. They don't require any kind of verification for this. So everywhere you go is the best burgers in this city. And everywhere you go, I'm exiting this out so that won't bug us anymore. But we go to San Antonio, the Texas Ranger Museum. Some of the dopest shit ever. If you don't know about the Comanches and the Indian Wars that took place in the Wild West, the Western frontier, during, even the 1800s, the 1900s, the crazy shit that went down in Texas, and just the evolution of guns in Texas, the Colt revolver, and why they like the need for technology and evolution. It was just insane how hard life was during this time. I even just think about it from a bitch perspective of being like, oh, it must have been so hot back then. I was thinking about that at the Alamo when we were like going into like an exhibit that was inside. I'm like, oh, they're great. They have AC. And then I would start thinking when I was outside, be like, man, I wish I had AC. But back in the day, they didn't even know what AC was. It is what it is. But they would just grant these families, like a lot of the Spaniards and Europeans and everything, when it was the, what do you call it? The Republic of Texas, when it became its own thing. It wasn't part of the United States, was no longer part of Mexico. They would just grant these families, they would call them hidalgos, and they were like of noble ranking. If they moved there, they would give them land grants, and they would build their own little town and city. And that's like why some of these names are named after the family that first moved there. But here's the fucked up part, like Fort Worth, they gave it to these families, and then the Indians would just come in and just completely ravage them. I'm talking ravage them. And I don't mean Indians, I mean natives. And it was just such a hard time. And then you like to learn about these Texas Rangers and the hardships that they went through and just what hard men they were. Just so badass. And the things that they risked. And like, it's just such a different person from the modern man. I even think about that when we're like in the gym. Like maybe athletically, I think we're better than those men. But like when it comes to hardship and being able to push through, those men would destroy every fuckboy we got. Okay? It was just impressive, is what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a podcast about perspective, a tale as old as time, going back through history. I just want to make this announcement, ladies and gentlemen, that I love you. I miss you. Thank you, everybody who listens to the podcast. Thank you to the new listeners that we have in Austin. I appreciate you. I see the demographics. Our listeners in Ohio, our listeners in the Middle East. Listen, I see who's coming in here hard and representing. I appreciate everybody in California, New York, New Jersey. Shout out to y'all. Russia, we got a few Russians. Welcome. Those are some hard whites out there. Russians aren't the white people and white people jokes, okay? They'd be like, okay, funny man, now you die for this. Now your children orphan for this joke. Make fun of how do we season our food again. But I thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. I do. I appreciate it. And remember, no matter what, I still love you.